everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition. Okay. We're going to try and make this quick and dirty. Quick and dirty. First things first, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to launch Hard Truths and Hard Hats last Thursday, and I shit the bed, and I got a call from my accountant and was like, "Where's your stuff?" And I was like, "Whoops." So I was head down, ass up in accounting. It was good time. So there was that. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm so sorry. You guys are going to get it this Thursday and every Thursday moving forward, Hard Hats and Hard Truth. And it's getting some good momentum, because what I'm doing is I'm throwing out questions on TikTok and I'm getting some really good responses from women and some interesting ones from men. And so I think we're going to dig into that when I do my Hard Hats and Hard Truth. So pay attention. I want to drop them every Thursday, and which is funny because everyone's like, "Why do you always drop yours on Wednesday?" And I'm like, "Wednesday's hump day. Everybody needs a little extra boost, you know? Let's talk about some shit. Let's get people riled up." I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But honestly, it just made sense because I mean, like Monday, Tuesday, you're kind of like catching up and getting into the routine of things or the grind or whatever. And then Wednesday's kind of the day where you're like, "Fuck, it's a Friday." No. My girlfriend sent me this meme, and I'm not even going to lie to you. Let me find it because it was so funny. I want to share it with all of you because it was so good. She sends me the funniest shit. And I laughed so hard because I was like, "Oh my God, that's fantastic." So it talks about and I know all of you can relate to it on some level. Hang on, let me find it. She sends me a lot. We call that pebbling. When someone sends you a lot of reels, it's called pebbling. It means they love you. So thank you to my friend who loves me. I got a couple of those who are like, "Listen, I don't want to talk to you, but I want you to know that I'm thinking about you." And I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." 5 fucking memes later. And then I got to spend time going through them like a crazy person. But I will say they do brighten my day. They do brighten my day. Let's see. Hang on. Good Lord. This woman sends me a lot of friggin' memes, but it was so good. Maybe I'll come back to it. Oh, maybe I found it. No, let me just read you a couple of them because they're fucking hilarious. It says, "Boss, the difference between giving feedback and simply being negative. Staff, there's also a difference between being negative and being honest. Just because you don't like feedback doesn't mean it's not accurate." So she sends me all of this stuff, which I'll be honest with you is my favorite. Simply because a lot of it has to do with work. Now, she's not in the same industry as me. She's not construction. But let's just be straight. Like, everybody has an issue on some level about what they're doing with life. So there's that. Let's see here. Photos. Oh, here we go. Found it. "We finally made it to want to resign Wednesday. Now just testing my patience Thursday and fully checked out Friday to go." It was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. So I do like that. That does crack me up. She sends me a lot of these really funny memes. But anyhow, moving on. So I'm super excited to be part of the committee of the ACR. I'm one of 4 on the committee. It is made up of 2 different associations inside of the real estate world. So when you're like, "Lisa, real estate," and I'm, well, because condo, right? So Lisa does condo. Okay. It sounded bad, like a Debbie Does Dallas, but we're not going there. I don't know what that means. I'm innocent. But anyhow, so we're doing that, and that's super fun. I have been a part of the ACR. I've said this before in my podcast. I've been part of the ACR for a few years now. And so now that the fact that I get to sit on the committee and help bring it to fruition and make it something amazing is, like it always is a wonderful opportunity. And so I always encourage my trades out there, all of my trades people and property managers, condo managers, real estate professionals, go to this conference. You can find it online, acrconference.org, and you can look at what there is, whether you choose to sponsor, whether you choose to get a booth and have lots of visibility, or whether you choose to just come and participate is up to you. It is jam-packed with educational sessions, panels, food, snacks, coffee, and a wonderful exhibit. So if you want some visibility and you're that trade that's like, "Hey, I really want to get into condo," here's your opportunity to get into condo. Because the one thing myself and the other committee members are all about is the underdog. We don't want to favor people that have been around forever and ever and ever, and they just keep getting the spotlight. We want some of those new companies, new blood, people that have maybe been around for 10 or 15 years that just don't have the exposure. So we want to see you come and be a part of it. I would love to see new faces. I always love seeing the old faces. I've been in the industry for quite some time, so it's always fun to catch up and see people that you don't see until you go to the conferences, right? So that's always fun. I hope some of our bigger firms that were out there that were a big part of the ACR last year will still join us at some capacity and be there. I know we've got a lot of really amazing speakers. We've got a great lineup of sessions and speakers. So I'm excited. I'm also a speaker. So yay me. You're like, yeah, because, giving Lisa an amp in public is a good thing. You know what? I am fucking terrified of public speaking. I'm like, listen, I'm going to have to sit or I'm going to fall over. That's just what's happening right now, which is funny because I can do public speaking virtually. Doesn't matter. I've spoken to 100 people virtually and have zero problem, no nerves, no anxiety, no nothing. But the minute it's like in person and I'm like, because people are like, well, maybe it's just because it's your peers. No problem speaking to my peers when I'm discussing or teaching or training or going over like a speech of sorts to my peers when it's online. But the minute it's in person, which is so weird because I'm good with people, I get kind of freaked out. Now, when I'm doing safety meetings and I'm in front of 50 guys, no problem. When I'm doing, when I'm going over administrative components with, a whole bunch of different crews or boards or peers, no problem. But the minute I'm standing up at a podium, I'm like, I'm going to pass out and die. I'm going to puke. I don't know what it is. It's psychological. I need to do some trauma work. That's where I'm going to go with that. But anyways, that's kind of what's going on. The ACMA group, so the ACMA Association, which is the Association for Condominium Managers of Alberta, also has free memberships right now. So I would invite you to jump on there and you can get some information. We're doing more with education. We've got some great things coming. We're going to be putting up sponsorship plans to help sponsor ACMA, to help the professional side of the industry to continue to grow and be educated. And we love that, which also gives you visibility, exposure, and invitations to all of our wonderful events that we decide to put on, including the ACR. So I always encourage people to do this. Condo is a great space. It's a hard space. It can be a tough space to get into. You're dealing with basically like little mini governments of people, and they all have different personalities and they all have different views. So I always say, you got to know your shit and you got to be able to speak to them on their level, not schmooze them, because especially if someone like me is standing there and you're fancy talking them and I know you're full of shit, I'm just going to call you out. Now, it depends. If you're someone, I'll call you out to the side. I won't. A lot of times I try not to be that person that just like calls someone out in front of their client. That's a horrible thing to do. So I always try to make sure that when I'm calling someone out, I'll pull you aside and be like, listen, we both know you're bullshitting. And so when you send in anything outside of the scope, you're going to have to deal with me, right? Because it's not going to go to the board. And if it goes to the board before it comes to me, I'm going to get in front of it. Like, that, right? Like, let's stop being crazy. I want you to make money. I want this job to be done. I want you to be able to start it and finish it. And I also want this board to be happy. Those are my objectives. Everybody's happy at the end. But if you start fucking with my shit and circumventing me, you and I are going to have a problem. We're not going to like each other. And then I'm not going to invite you to tender on any of the sites that I'm on. That's just brass tacks. Sometimes you just got to brass tacks that shit to people. And you know what? I find you get really respected in the brass tacks aspect of things when you're not fluffy. You got to be fluffy to some people. Some people can't handle straightforward conversations, but I also believe in delivery of those straightforward conversations. So I grew up in an era where it was like, you just tell somebody, are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious right now? Whereas that's not really what you can do. You gotta like read the room. There's some guys and some women you can do that with. And they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What did I do? And they don't take offense to how I'm approaching. They're just kind of more like, well, what are you talking about? Like, what's your problem? Whereas some people are like, oh, and then you got to get a hurt feelings report. I didn't say that. Lisa, you are the HR nightmare. You are the safety concern. And yet you have designations in both. What? Nah. But no, you know what? I believe that everything brings value inside of it. And like I said, it all depends on how you're talking to people, because people do pay attention. Like for me, it's not necessarily what you're saying, but how you're saying it. You could tell me that I'm a dumbass or that I'm stupid, but it all depends on how you're saying it. And if it's like, and I hate the passive aggressive, like please tell me there's more than just me, because I know that I'm someone who hates passive aggressive, and people be like, well, that's because you're aggressive. And I'll be like, no, I'm assertive. There's a difference. Women that are assertive in male dominated industries automatically get labeled as aggressive. Sometimes I'm aggressive. Absolutely. But it's not on site. Let's start there. So I'm usually just, I'm just understanding. My understanding of how things need to be done is that people just want clear, concise direction, clear, concise scope, clear, concise objectives. And so if I'm like, well, they're going to be like, listen, do you fucking want it or not? And you know what men hate on site is when you're fluffy and when you're, hum-ha and, well, I guess we could do that. Men don't operate in that. When they're in work mode, it's clear, concise, let's go. So it's like, yes, I would like that done. No, we're not doing that. Yes, I need a change order. Yes, this needs to happen. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not working on that side today. And then that's clear and concise, and they're not wasting time, because the one thing most men that are when they get into work mode, especially in construction, is I don't want to small talk you. I don't fucking care. Like, that is literally the way they are. I don't fucking care. I don't want to talk about what you did on the weekend. I don't give a shit. What I want is for you to tell me where I need to start or what we're doing today, so that I can just carry on and get my fucking job done. I don't need to know about, what your kid's ballet recital was. Like, they don't care. When they're on break, when they're just chilling, when it's like coffee right before they're getting started, yeah, they might, they'll jaw with you for a minute and talk about their kids or your kids or whatever, whether you're male or female. This is how most men work. There are a few women out there that are like that as well, where they're like, I don't care. Like, I'm not here to be your friend. Which sucks, because you guys work together for a long duration. So there has to be some sort of camaraderie. However, the lines get skewed. And we're going to talk about that when we move over to hard hats and hard truth. So at the end of the day, I want everybody to gain visibility on how it makes sense to them, what industries they want to be able to penetrate. Penetrate. I love construction. It has all the words, right? All the words that make us giggle, like erection or erect or penetrate, all the things, caulking, lube. It has all the words. And I'm not going to lie, I'm totally the child that stands in the corner when they're like, well, we have to go ahead and erect that. And I'm like, yeah, you do. I'm totally a child. I shouldn't go to site. What I think for me is that if we can laugh at work, it makes work fun. And I'm not saying be inappropriate, and I'm not saying take it to the next level. I'm saying that read the room, pay attention to who you're talking to, who's around, and what your jokes are, because there are people who are offended and there are people who don't want to talk about things. Just, have some social etiquette, and, like, don't be completely socially inept. Like I said, read the room. Anyway, that's my bit for today. I didn't want to keep you guys too long. Thursday, you guys will hear the Hard Hats, Hard Truth, because this is going to be a fun edition. It's the first one, so we're going to have some fun with it. So you guys have an amazing rest of your week, and catch you guys on the flip side, and don't do anything crazy.